Well, let's talk now to Aubrey McCarthy, who is friends with one of the Irish passengers who was repatriated yesterday. Aubrey, good to talk to you. Tell us how she's doing. This is Éireann Lane, isn't it? She's 79. She's had quite the few days, hasn't she?
Well, hello from a beautiful sunny Dublin, Marion Square. So yes, we're delighted to have Anne and her friend back home in Ireland. She arrived at 9 o'clock last night, so now into quarantine and self-isolating. And so it's a good news story. Everything has worked out well. And I just want to say a huge thanks to our own Prime Minister, the Taoiseach, and our Minister for Health and our Minister for Foreign Affairs, who worked closely with the Spanish government to get Anne and her friend back home.
What's Anne told you about what her experience has been like, you know, when she suddenly realised that actually something was very seriously wrong on board this ship?
Well, initially I received the updates of the virus on the ship, and of course all of the online speculation was about, you know, it was a rats virus, it was caused by rodents. However, Anne said this couldn't be further from the truth, and the ship ocean-wide was absolutely immaculate, and it's often portrayed as a cruise ship, but of course this is an expedition ship, and Anne has gone on record herself by saying this is her 6th expedition. She loves expeditions. So the people that were on board for the last 6 weeks, they were out to the Antarctica, travelling the world. But as I said, it was not a cruise, it was an expedition. The food was second to none, the service was second to none. So a number of them have said that if they were to be offered another expedition on ocean-wide, they would absolutely jump at the chance.
So she's definitely seen the positive in it, but it must have been quite scary, one would imagine, especially for a lady of her age, knowing that there was something on the ship that was potentially contagious.
The reason many of the news agencies have contacted me is that Anne is one of our volunteers at our homeless outreach for Tiglin, the lighthouse in Dublin city centre. So a lot of people would know her, that she's a strong lady, and certainly she is strong enough to go through an episode such as this. However, when you're docked off the likes of Cape Verde, psychologically it must be so traumatic being told that you cannot come on shore. So that would be a big issue, I presume. So then in the last number of days, when that has been fixed and working with the Spanish authorities, that has really changed everything, and it's a very good news story. And it's the first rescue mission for our own government jet, which was only purchased a number of weeks ago. To see that landing in the Canaries, Tenerife, yesterday, and of course we all tracked it then arriving back in Baldonnel here in Ireland. The whole mission from start to finish was very professional, and it worked out second to none.
And what happens to Anne now? How long is she going to be monitored for and having to isolate?
So the experts are saying that there's a 42 quarantine period. I know that there's debate whether the incubation is a week or so many weeks. But definitely the isolation, the quarantine here will be 42 days. I saw last night that in Baldonnel, our own military airport run by the Air Corps, 2 ambulances collected both Anne and her friend separately, and then they were brought to an isolation facility separately. And but all is going well, and they're being treated very well.
And obviously she's a lady who likes to explore. She's clearly very, very active. How is she going to manage for 42 days having to isolate?
Anne has written 2 books before, all about sculptures, all about touring around Ireland. So no doubt she'll keep herself busy, and she will research, she will read. An avid reader, an avid researcher, and a well-rounded person regarding educating herself.
Aubrey McCarthy, really good to talk to you and hear about Anne, who is back safely in Ireland, and we hope all remains well for her over the incubation period. Let's take you from that.